Gentlemen, and welcome to the press conference of Prime Minister Stubb and Mr. General Secretary Stoltenberg. And we'll start with brief remarks on their discussions. Prime Minister, please.
Thank you very much and warmly welcome. Jens, very nice to see you here in this capacity. And once again, congratulations for your new post. I also note from our press corps that NATO is a little bit more interesting than the European Union, but only by about 3 or 4 persons and personalities. And thank you for waiting. We had a very good conversation. As you all well know, Finland bases its security and defense on an independent and reliable defense on number 1, and number 2 on international cooperation. In international cooperation, for us, it's not an either-or question, it's more all around. That means that we do close cooperation with our partners in the Nordic countries, including Sweden, and we were reminded of a particular Stoltenberg report, which was drawn up by Stoltenberg Senior a few years back with 13 different points. On top of that, we have very close cooperation and security guarantees and solidarity guarantees, may I add, from the European Union. We believe very strongly that our partners in Europe are good security partners. And then finally, we stress very strongly our partnership in NATO. And of course, we are very pleased to be in the group of enhanced opportunities. We also discussed Russia and Ukraine today, and I also explain the domestic situation in our NATO discussions here in Finland. As you all know, we are preparing for elections, and there seems to be a consensus among all 8 parties led by the President of the Republic that during the mandate of the next parliament we shall not exclude the possibility of seeking NATO membership. I also talked about the prospect of perhaps in the next government having some kind of a report or assessment of what NATO membership would mean for Finland. So overall, a very important and interesting luncheon with a very important partner, NATO. Jens, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Alex, and it's great to see you again and great to be back in Helsinki. I've been there many times, but this is the first time we meet in your capacity as Prime Minister, my capacity as Secretary General of NATO. And for me it's great to be in Finland because I can underline and confirm very much what you just said, that there is an excellent relationship between Finland and NATO. And Finland is one of our most active and closest partners. You have participated in so many important NATO operations and missions in Afghanistan, in Kosovo. There you have contributed to peace and security, but you have also contributed to increased interoperability, meaning increased ability to work together with other NATO countries, and that has been of great importance for NATO and hopefully also for you. So you are really a close partner, and we appreciate very much your contributions, and we very much would like to develop that partnership further, especially when it comes to working with other countries, both to the east with Moldova, Georgia, Ukraine, to help them to stabilize, to enable them to be even more able to defend themselves, but also to the south with Jordan, with countries in North Africa. And the idea is to be able to project stability without deploying a high number of forces, but by enabling other countries to be more able to take care of their own security. So in all these different efforts and in all these different missions, operations, we very much welcome the participation of Finland, and we have a great history together in Afghanistan, Kosovo, and other operations. Then, of course, we also very much welcome, and we also discussed during the lunch, how we can work also more closely together when it comes to exercises, to make our forces even more able to work together. And when I left Brussels yesterday, I left what we call the CMX 15, which is a big exercise taking place in all NATO countries, but also in several partner countries, including Finland. And I was sitting there at the NATO headquarters with 28 allies and some partner countries, including Finland. So Finland is part of the exercises. It's part of the activities we are doing to be able to make our defense forces even more capable and even more trained and prepared. We are, of course, very concerned about the situation in Ukraine, and it underlines that we now see a different Russia. I think both NATO and Finland has, for many years since the end of the Cold War, strived for a more cooperative and constructive relationship with Russia, and we continue to do so. But to be able to have a constructive and cooperative relationship with Russia, Russia has to respect its neighbors and to respect the border of its neighbors. And therefore we believe that there is no contradiction between a strong defense and dialogue. Actually, my experience as a Norwegian Prime Minister is that strong defense has created the foundation, the basis for dialogue and cooperation with Russia. We are concerned about the situation in Ukraine. We welcome very much the Minsk agreement and the ceasefire. And now it is important that the Minsk agreement and the ceasefire is respected and fully implemented. And any attempt to further expand the territory held by the separatists would be a clear violation of the Minsk agreement. And this would be an unacceptable action to the international community. And I would also like to underline that all heavy weapons have to be withdrawn from the contact line and the front line, and the OC has to have full access to be able to monitor the situation on the ground. Thank you once again. It's great to be in Finland, and it's great to be working so closely with a close and highly valued partner as Finland.
Thank you very much, and now we have time for some questions. And please mention your name and the name of your media before making the questions. Helsingin Sanomat.
Petteri Toinen from newspaper Helsingin Sanomat. I have a question for both of you gentlemen. First, Secretary General, earlier this week US military estimated that there's 12,000 Russian troops in eastern Ukraine, 29,000 in Crimea, and additional 50,000 across the border. What is your estimate on the Russian troops on the area, and can you show us some proof about it? And yeah. Do I continue? Or?
Go for it.
Ja pääministerille kaksijakoinen kysymys. Tänään Helsingin Sanomien mielipidetiedustelussa kansalaiset oli sitä mieltä, että ainoastaan 27 kannatti Naton jäsenyyttä ja 57 vastusti. Onko
mikä se oli 27?
57.
27.
Onko Suomen NATO-jäsenyys todellakin mahdollisuus ensi hallituskaudella? Ja toinen kysymys liittyen...
Odotatko hetken, niin muutkin ehtii kysyä. Okay. Vastataan näihin. Please.
So I will not go into specific figures, but what I can confirm is that we have seen a substantial increase in the support from Russia to the separatists. And we have seen forces, we have seen training of separatists by Russian forces, and we have also seen a substantial increase in the supply of heavy equipment. And there's more than 1,000 pieces of heavy equipment which has been supplied to the separatists by Russia. And we speak about artillery, armored vehicles, advanced defense, air defense systems, and this is equipment which only can originate from Russia. And we have very reliable sources, both based on our own intelligence, but also based on open sources. The OSCE has confirmed that Russia is present in eastern Ukraine, and now recently we also got the UN report, and also families of soldiers and other open sources have confirmed the same. So I think there is no reason in a way to discuss whether the Russians are in Ukraine. They have annexed Crimea. They tried also to deny that they were present in Crimea, and then they annexed Crimea, and now they are present in the eastern part of Ukraine. And we call on Russia to withdraw all its troops from eastern Ukraine and to use all its influence on the separatists to make sure that they are respecting the ceasefire and allowing OSCE observers to monitor the ceasefire and the Minsk agreement.
And as far as the question on Finnish NATO membership and opinion polls is concerned, I think it's very important that in the span of the next government we don't exclude the possibility of seeking NATO membership in a similar way in which we excluded it for this government. And as the President has put it, it is also a security political decision to keep that option open. Second observation is that it would be useful to have a report on the pros and cons of a possible NATO membership within the span of the next parliament. And the final point I'd like to make is that it's important that if one day Finland would decide to seek membership in NATO, it would have to be supported by the general public. So I think there's a certain logic in first opening up the possibility and second providing for an analysis, but I do not see Finnish NATO membership happening in the near future.
Yrsa. Kommer där.
Tack så mycket. Jag tänkte fråga på svenska. Ert besök sammanfaller med Federica Mogherini. Träffar ni varandra också? Diskuterar ni någonting med Mogherini? Eller var det separata besök? The next one I'll do in English. You said that any efforts to expand the territory would be unacceptable. Everybody's talking about that there is no military solution to the crisis in Ukraine, which everybody can agree upon. But it seems that there is no diplomatic solution either. So what to do if they try to expand? Thank you.
I haven't met Federica Mogherini here in Helsinki. I met her a few days ago in Brussels, and it's easy to meet her in Brussels, where we both are working.
You missed each other by 15 minutes.
Yeah, okay. But we have an excellent cooperation with the European Union, and we are very much eager to expand and to develop the cooperation with the European Union. I think the focus now should be on supporting the peace process and the Minsk agreement and the ceasefire, and therefore we should do everything to support all efforts to make sure that the ceasefire is respected. It's a fragile ceasefire. There has been some violations, but the overall picture is that the ceasefire is holding, and that is extremely important. And now the next step is to see the withdrawal of heavy weapons. So our main focus now is to support that. At the same time, we have very much supported the economic sanctions by the European Union. NATO does not impose economic sanctions. That's something which the European Union does, and the United States and other allies. But we support the sanctions because we very much believe that it must have some consequence. It must have a cost when Russia is violating international law and using force to change borders. I have just noted that several of the European leaders have underlined that if the ceasefire is not respected, and if the separatists supported by Russia is trying to move westwards and take control over even more territory, then the issue of expanding or increasing the sanctions is on the table. So we will support that because we think it's important that it has consequences when Russia is behaving as they do in eastern Ukraine.
I think we have time for one very quick one. Please go ahead.
Mats Anneberg, freelance journalist. Mr. Stoltenberg, can you imagine any negative consequences if Finland was to apply for and eventually gain NATO membership?
I will completely leave it to Finland to decide whether Finland wants to be a member of NATO or not. As long as Finland is not a member, we warmly welcome close cooperation, close partnership, as we have with Finland, and we are discussed, the Prime Minister and I today, how we can expand and develop that partnership. But whether Finland wants to apply for membership, it's up to Finland to decide. And if I now started to speculate on the disadvantages of applying, I think it will be very easy to interrupt me or to understand me in a way that I'm going into a domestic Finnish debate, and I will not do so. Yeah.
Okay, and we still take one more Aino.
Well, I take both.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yes, my name is Johanna Rossi. I'm with the Wall Street Journal. 2 weeks ago, Finland's president said in an interview with the Swedish newspaper Dagens Nyheter that some Finland's unidentified friends in the West have counseled that Finland shouldn't seek membership in NATO as long as the tensions between the West and Russia remain elevated due to the Ukraine crisis and also Russia's confrontational attitude in the Baltic region. Do you share this appraisal? Do you think that it would be a poor choice that Finland shouldn't be seeking membership with NATO as long as the security situation remains elevated?
So I think the important thing is that we leave it to the Finns to decide, and it is extremely important for NATO that we really respect the decision by Finland, being it not to apply or being it to apply. And I will not go into the business of trying to give advice to Finland. I have so great respect for Finland and the Finns that I think that's the last thing I should do, both as Secretary General of NATO, but also as a former Norwegian Prime Minister. I will stay out. And I think that I know something as a Norwegian politician about how important these kind of discussions are, because I think that Finland's relationship to NATO is some way similar to Norway's relationship to the European Union. Norway is extremely close to the European Union, but we have never been able to join. And this has been a big issue in Norway for decades. And then I learned from my Norwegian experience that to have a foreigner and a Secretary General coming to Helsinki and start to give advice in the one way or another is wrong.
May I add that cooperation with NATO has of course been facilitated in the past years by the fact that the Secretary General of NATO has first come from a close ally and Nordic friend Denmark, and now from a close ally and Nordic friend Norway.
My turn. Okay.
Yep.
Hello, I'm Aino Huilea from MTV News Finland. I try to be quick. Finland would like to, especially our president, Mr. Sauli Niinistö, would like to strengthen the defense cooperation in the European Union. How NATO see this kind of plans and this kind of development?
We very much support and welcome increased defense cooperation within the European Union because we share the same values, we share the same security environment, both the threats and the challenges to the east and to the south. And we share very many of the same members. 22 of our members are also members of the European Union and vice versa. So increased defense cooperation in Europe is good for the European Union, but it's also good for NATO.
Good.
Okay, there would be definitely hundreds of more questions, but we really have to finish. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you.